big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. This new year, get clean, quality, pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list, including Ritual's best-selling Essential Prenatal Multivitamin, designed with 12 traceable key ingredients to support a healthy pregnancy. With big changes coming up, take the small steps now and start today with 30% off a 3-month supply at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
Into the silo.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Spider gets bigger every single time you tell that story. Ladies and gentlemen.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because it's aging. It's getting older. It's maturing. It's growing. You keep feeding it.
Oh, I see.
You know, it's too bad we don't have any fodder for today's show. It's really sad
No, we have nothing.
that there's nothing going on.
Well,
How sad.
I am as well. We're going to have to just make this up as we go, I guess.
That's right. I don't think we're going to have... What the hell are we going to talk about?
Nothing. Let's go home, boys. It's been a great show.
Okay.
A lot of fun.
I want to thank you
All right.
for being here tonight.
Let's drink.
Let's drink.
I'm down. Is there? You know what? I have maybe 1 or 2 shots of Macallan left, but I got to drive later.
And there's some bookers, too, so
And
we're
there's
doing
some
all right.
bookers,
There's not
too.
much
I
up
can't
there.
get sauce tonight.
Yeah, neither can I. I'm still getting over this cold. Hey, welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show. It is the 7th of September, 2016, just a few months from Election Day. Pretty excited about that as we get into the whole bunch of it.
Yeah, no, that's the only thing that's happening, though.
Sitting off to my left is the only man that looks weird in a Speedo. My good friend, Sackhead Clint.
I do not look weird in a Speedo. Okay, I do. Only because it's a thong and it's licorice.
Right.
It's not really a Speedo.
It's literally, it's a grape smuggler. So, you know.
It's a plum smuggler.
Yeah, it is.
Singular.
Sitting off to the right, the man who could easily step back into 8889 in the Old West. Just throw some leathers and hat on him. The bloviating Zeppelin joins us this evening.
That's right, and I ate well in those times, too.
and he's wearing leathers. They're assless.
Right, but,
They are
he said
chaps.
the seat was warm. So we
Right.
had to give it a little bit more ventilation, yeah.
Right.
It was required, and we'll just disinfect that later.
$100 and a self-addressed envelope, and I will send you a photograph of that. My naked ass in leathers, in chaps.
Will you sign it?
Oh, hell yes, with my butt cheeks.
Like they do with elephants and dolphins when they have them do the painting and then they auction them off. That's a great idea.
What the hell are you talking about?
You never seen when they give like an elephant a paint stick or a paintbrush?
Who the hell does that?
Zoos
Elephants?
all over the place.
Liberals.
And-
Just say liberals.
And then
Because
they
who else would
exploit
think that's
them.
art?
They exploit those poor animals and make money off their art.
So hang on a second.
Is it their art or their arse?
They're ours. So hang on a second. You know that these places are usually liberal, right?
Oh, very.
Absolutely. Animal rights groups, all this stuff. And yet, as you say, they're exploiting them.
Yes,
And they're being capitalist bastards because they're selling this stuff.
of course.
So on one hand, I kind of admire that.
Well, how can you not?
Right. All right, so I have to tell you guys a story. This has literally been eating at me for the last,
6
I
days?
have to do math. 2 days.
Okay.
3 days, 4 days. Whatever.
Just do math.
Just math for the last math days. This is a true story, by the way. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was a nice weekend, right?
Beautiful weekend.
Sun was out.
I was sick
right?
all weekend.
You were
That's
sick
right.
all
It was
weekend.
a wonderful weekend for you.
Sun was out. Beautiful day to go swimming.
Yes.
Right? So I had 3 young boys with me.
Yep.
Mine, don't.
Yeah,
don't
it's not
read into
weird.
it.
It's
nothing
not weird.
at all.
This
I
time.
was with BW.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So box wine.
Right. Box
And-
wine.
Absolutely. And took oh my God! Achoo! This is great wine. Achoo!
Like a kitten sneezing.
What is this? A $3 bottle? Achoo! It's great.
Oh, this is the best I've ever had. She's going to be the first one where they come out of the boxless wine where it's just the bag that they throw up. You know, like they do in milk in Canada now and stuff like that. That's going to be her. She's, oh my God, I got this amazing bag of wine the other night, and that's how you know you have a problem.
Hang on a second. But if it's her invention, you should use this.
Right? Yes.
Almost
of course.
like a Camelback. We do like a tactical thing with it.
I don't think you could mix that much wine and tactical all at once.
Ooh, I bet you can.
You can try.
And it would be a great time too. So we're at the pool, and with my 3 boys, and there's this guy kind of sitting at the table, kind of next to where we are, and he was there for like a couple hours, right, on his computer, hanging out by the pool, and this lady comes sashaying in, and I don't think it was a sachet. I think like she just had that much movement in her body,
Right.
As she walked.
Kind of how I walk.
That it looked like a No. Picture like a orca meets Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, how I walk.
And I think it goes even beyond that. And so she comes in and she has a boy with her, and this boy, come to find out, is 7 years old. Okay, so she sits down at the table with this guy and starts fussing over this 7-year-old boy. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe like this is his like wildebeest. I don't know, but maybe this is
Wildebeest.
I mean, I don't know, right?
Bring your wildebeest to the pool day.
Yeah, maybe it's his
Or a
wildebeest,
Wata buffalo.
Yeah, maybe
More appropriate.
She knew how to come back, and the guy all of a sudden starts looking at her like with disgust, and it was just one of those ladies like just fussing over like
Everything.
like helicopter parent, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hovering over this
Circling.
7-year-old boy.
Just circling.
And the boy was she was white, and the boy was biracial, right? No big deal. Nobody thought twice of it. She reaches in her bag, and I thought it was something out of a magic show. The way she reached in and she kept pulling stuff out, right? It was like a surfboard, and it was like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. There's like a surfboard and a paddle and a canoe
And a lion.
and like a bottle of Jack Daniels, which I promptly took, and like some pink water wings.
Water wings.
What? And did I mention this boy was 7 years old?
Yes, you
Come to
did.
Find out. So she puts
Oh, my.
she
wow.
puts these water
Boy.
wings on the 7-year-old boy, and puts like a scuba mask over his head, like the whole goggles and the big strap thing like over his head, and like says, "Okay, drink some Gatorade. We don't want you to dehydrate." Okay, the sun's out, and drink some Gatorade, and then he goes into the baby pool
Okay.
and is splashing around on the stairs.
Okay.
My 3-year-old is over there on the stairs, along with a couple of my other boys. And she says, "Oh, look out, sweetheart! Some people, we need to share the space on the stairs." And man, if any of you know my middle boy or have heard me talk about him, you know that he is
Touched?
How do I say this?
Unafraid.
Like me,
More.
He's-
but more so maybe.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
the scary part.
Yeah.
Is
He's
it's
honest.
almost like the mute button that you barely have.
But it took me 40-something years to develop that.
Yeah, but
He's still young.
even still, when
He's
we first met,
candid.
you had less of a mute button. This boy
I
has
30 years.
This boy has zero mute
I
button.
was 30 years.
There is
in.
no mute whatsoever.
So Jack looks at this 7-year-old, a year older, and he's like floundering around like a fish, poor kid. And my 3-year-old has to make room for this guy. And Jack looks at him and looks at her and says, "Can't he swim?" And she says, well, not yet. And Jack says, "Well, how old is he?" And she says, "He's 7." Jack goes, "I'm 6. I swim." And gets this look of disgust on his face.
Well, and he's just giving information at this point.
I'm still getting warmed up. So Jack talks to this kid and everything, and the kid is like, kind of splashing, and he can touch. It's the baby pool. And he jumps off the last step into the water where he can touch. It's like chest high. And the mom says, "Oh, my God, get over by the stairs."
Oh. Now, how many adults are standing around watching?
Drinks me, box wine, and this other guy who's since got up and left. And this lady was so disgusting that everybody else left the pool. So Jack kind of flips out or whatever, and then this lady...
Of course he does.
Comes out, right. This lady comes out and starts talking to us. And she says, "Oh, you 3 beautiful boys. Oh, yeah, thank you very much." She says, "Yeah, but they're blonde, so they're going to have a very easy life."
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
At which point I look up.
Oh.
And she says, "My boy is biracial, so he's going to have a much harder time in life." Loud enough for this 7-year-old to hear.
Why didn't you call me?
She proceeds to go on about how he's biracial, going to have a hard time in life, and how my boys are going to have it so much easier.
And you didn't call me.
They're blonde-haired, and she doesn't understand why her poor young sweet boy has no friends. To which BW and I postulated, well, maybe it's because of your psychotic.
Say mother.
7-year-old again, makes a splash in the pool.
You mean being a kid?
Being a kid, she runs over to him. "Oh my God, get over by the stairs. Are you okay? Come out of the pool, drink some Gatorade."
Helicopter.
It was almost like my big fat Greek wedding where the answer to everything was Windex.
Right, Windex.
Right?
Helicopter parenting.
Everything.
Yes. Gatorade in this woman's mind solved everything.
This is unbelievable.
This was a story I had to share because these people are actually out there.
Oh, are you kidding me?
I felt so bad for this boy because he was a 7-year-old boy. The kid knows no difference whatsoever. And his mother is building in an excuse at such an early age for him to fail. It's going to be built up in his mind that
enormously.
Every time he fails,
enormously built.
It's not because he didn't try hard enough or he's not skilled enough or he needs to work harder, but it's because he's biracial. And she doesn't allow him to fail, as evidenced by the fact that he had pink water wings in a kid pool where he could reach the bottom and a frickin' scuba mask on.
Well, and the scuba mask is okay. Now, if he just wanted to wear the scuba mask so he could see underwater, totally cool.
Completely different story.
Absolutely.
But it paints an entire picture.
But he can't go underwater because he has giant pink water wings on.
Right.
Totally different animal.
Right.
And I'm going to take a little exception to this woman. And you
Just
know,
a little exception?
You know why.
Yes. No, please.
My son is quote-unquote biracial.
Yes.
I love the fact that needs a special new term, but apparently
Look, my
it does.
kids are going to have a harder time, Sean, than yours.
Yes. Yes. The only reason my son will have a difficult time in life is if he allows himself to.
Right.
And when you raise victims, as we see with society as it is and children as we are right now, when you raise victims, you get victims. When you tell them from a young age they're victims, guess what they're going to be? Victims.
Yes.
Because that's how society works.
Yes.
When you teach them that they're no different and they can do anything that they want as long as they have the hard work and determination and make good decisions, then you are setting them up to do anything they want. They can be whatever the hell they want. But to say that somebody is at a disadvantage because of how they are born is literally as prejudiced as somebody saying you should not have rights because of the color of your skin. You are assuming that they're at disadvantage because of that, and you're you're creating this ridiculous protected class.
Yes.
And it disgusts me. It absolutely disgusts me.
It disgusts me because this kid has zero chance.
None. Oh,
He's got zero chance.
None.
Well, children.
Oh, you know what, son? This teacher graded you a D on that paper because you're biracial and you have special challenges. And this is what the world is going to do to you, and you just need to be ready to... Wait, what?
Children are empty vessels into which you pour information.
Yes.
Yes.
Very much so.
And a child, I grew up a poor black child, literally.
One of my favorite lines
Yeah,
from...
thank you. But literally,
the jerk Steve
we
Martin.
were poor when we were growing up. We had this little teeny-weeny house, and Mom and Dad literally drank Thunderbird because they couldn't afford anything else. And then, we moved to another house, blah, 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 blah. I didn't care.
Right.
I was with Mom and Dad. As far as I was concerned, it was a wonderful time.
Life is golden.
Yep.
You only realize what you know later on in life. Kids are extremely malleable. What you place into their brainiums can either help them or hurt them. That woman isn't doing anything to help those kids.
No,
to help
not at
that
all.
kid at all.
At all. Zero.
She's creating another individual that's going to fall into the class of, just as you said, victimhood.
Yep.
Yay, good for her. You've just screwed up your kid. Thanks.
Yep.
Wow. I am disgusted. And again, you're 100% right. Kids are what you fill them. Now, the downside of that is my sons get some of my personality traits that I wish I could not have him have. Only because...
Right, like the fact that he's a Red Sox fan.
That's some of the more
and the
positive
fact that
ones.
he's a Patriots.
Watch him get mad. It's sad, actually. And I don't get mad often in front of my kids.
Uh-huh.
I know more than any other normal parent would. Or at the, just normal, but it's there, right? They pick up your personality traits. We always talk about nature versus nurture in my house. We talk about it a lot. My son, this poor biracial victim, if you ask this other woman, is me, incarnated. And it actually, to the point that it scares me. And that's why these kids can be anything you want. And there are plenty of kids who grew up sort of behind the eight ball, if you will, who had a very, very hard start to life. Maybe parents had issues. Maybe they didn't have parents. Foster homes, group
They're only
homes.
behind the eight ball if you let them be.
But
or if
either
you
way,
make 'em.
many of those kids have no problem climbing out and being a complete success story. I go back to the Olympian Miss Biles. I can't remember her first name. I know everyone's like, you should remember it, but I don't.
She had a great story. You're right.
Right. With her grandparents adopting her, she still made it to the Olympics.
And that one jack-off said, that's not
right,
her
that
parents, right?
NBC guy, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is she had an opportunity. It sounds like her grandparents, her parents, and they are her parents in my opinion,
Yep.
set her up to succeed and gave her the tools to succeed as parents should do. Instead of making excuses. You can't go to the Olympics. You had to be adopted by your grandparents. Nobody's ever going to let you go to the Olympics. Can you imagine if they started telling her this at 10, 12, 13 years old? It's absolutely crazy. And this is the problem with society. We see this all over the place with every group out there as to why they're a specified victim instead of why they can succeed if they try. And life is not perfect in this world. Yes, will there always be people who may have an issue with you with race? Yes, we can't outlaw that. We can't change that as long as they
And
don't act
obviously
on
this
it.
lady had an issue with my kids.
Yes, because they
of
were
their
white
race.
and blonde-haired.
Right. The best part was when BW got up on the chair and literally tried to jump over me to claw her eyes out. Because... And yeah, she did. Achoo! No, she didn't sneeze because she was drinking box wine at the time. But like, she tried to claw at this woman. I had to kind of try and hold her back, and like the little ball of hate came out in her. It was pretty amazing. But obviously, she was just going to attack her because of her biracial kid.
Well, yes, and that's what it would have turned into.
Right.
That's exactly what it would have turned into. That would have been on the news.
Right.
Oh yeah, no, it's absolutely crazy. And I'm just I am disgusted. I am completely disgusted.
She would have thrown the box of wine at her
If it wasn't attached to her
if it
lips.
wasn't attached to her, and if it wasn't going to waste
Perfectly good
bad
wine.
That's
Perfectly bad wine, right?
Bad wine.
Yeah.
Right. If it was like a bottle of like Kendall Jackson or something decent, like she would have hurled it right at her head.
What is this, cake bread?
Yeah.
Give me this.
What is this?
I'm breaking the bottle. It's a $52 bottle of wine. That's crap.
This is garbage. I'm going to cut that bitch.
Remember, lower is better on the rating scale. So 99 out of 100, trash. Total trash. 2 out of 100, nailing it. That's parts per horrible per million. So 2 out of a million is way better than 99.
Right.
That's how she understands alcohol. When we look at the future of this country, and I can remember how I grew up with my parents being very supportive, hard and strict, but very supportive. You can do whatever you want. You just got to work for it. Nobody's going to give anything to you. You have to work for it. And the only people,
Unless you're biracial.
the only
Then you
people
have
who
to
may
work
help
harder
you
for
or
it.
give you anything are the people that love you in life. And odds are you would do the same for them. And that's a different animal.
Mm-hmm.
Outside the home, outside the family. Nobody's giving you anything. Even my first couple jobs, I got the interview set up, but I had to do it myself and then work myself. And when I screwed up, I owned it myself. With family, friends, businesses, and stuff like that. It was mine. I couldn't have mommy and daddy come fix it or whatever. And that taught you to own your responsibility. Now, we all were teenagers and lunatics, etc. But my parents still instilled those values of hard work. I mean, I've had a job like everyone else in this room since I was 14 years old. 2 jobs at that young of an age. And I was never taught that anybody would hate me for what I had or who I was. And that essentially I had to give them reasons to dislike me. Now, people will dislike me because of my principles, my values, whatever, but that's because of who I am, not because of who they are. And if we don't agree, then shake hands and move along. However, the reality is, the reality is that's what life was. But then we've changed with the victimization of our children, telling them from a young age they're victims, and it's the children of the hippies, right? It's the children of the hippies whose children are now growing up as victims. These kids, their parents were hippies in the 60s. They were born in the 70s, early 80s. Now we're seeing their children enter into society, and I've managed youth between the ages of 21 to 30 for the last 9 years of my life, and you see a change. At this point, 30 and over, 28, 29 sometimes and over, is dramatically different than 28 and younger. How they approach work, how they approach responsibility, etc. And it's because they were told everybody wins, everybody gets a fucking trophy.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But this goes beyond that. This goes beyond you're okay because everybody gets a freaking trophy, right? Or everybody's a winner. Bullshit. Some kids are slow and can't run and they lose the fucking race, okay?
That's the way it goes.
Some kids...
I know, I was that kid.
And that's okay, right? That's okay.
I've never won a foot race in my life.
Yeah. Look, some kids are great. They can build an amazing structure, right? But they can't add 2 and 2. Okay, great. Who cares? Look, people are good at something, but you can't be the best at everything. Not everybody gets a trophy. But this went beyond that.
No, it's beyond that because
This
it
went
was
beyond helicopter parent.
purposeful
Yes.
programming of that child.
Oh,
Yes. And to say that to another parent
Is insane.
is insane. And oh my God, I wish I could draw a picture.
Well,
If I wouldn't be called a racist for drawing a picture of how this kid looked. And I feel bad because cute kid, obviously.
It's not the kid's
not
fault.
the kid's fault at all. But this kid's going to grow up probably to be an asshole.
Yep, a self-victimizing asshole.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the most frightening part. And you nailed it, PZ, with the programming. Have you ever seen the movie Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. It's,
Debbie.
no, the other one there.
Oh, wait.
Dallas,
No,
Debbie.
It's the kids' movie with the robot. The brother creates him, and then he comes back, and the brother dies.
Short Circuit. No.
The younger brother gets it. It was just out a couple years ago. He's in a big red suit of armor. I can't remember what the hell it's called.
I don't know, but I'm kind of digging it. Were there chicks in bikinis? And
Yeah, something like
okay,
that.
Yeah.
But Baymax.
Oh, yeah.
Baymax. And all you had to do to change his programming was remove one card and put another one in with new information.
Yeah.
And that's what this woman is doing, right? She's taking all this horrible information and just downloading it into this kid's head. And she's going to get exactly the monster she's created.
Yeah.
She's going to get somebody who just thinks everybody owes them a friggin' favor, that they've been a constant victim. Big Hero 6. Thank you, Underground Professor. Big Hero 6. I think it's awesome.
Okay, I never saw that.
That the professor had it. His name was Baymax in Big Hero 6.
Yeah.
But and the problem is she's doing this outside of you. She has friends and family that see her doing
I don't think
this.
she has friends.
All right, she has family. There has to be somebody else close to her on some level who's going to turn around to her and go, "What the hell are you doing?"
I don't know, because she was complaining, he doesn't have any friends.
But
nobody ever plays with.
Well-
But she blames that not on her psychotic, crazy fucking self.
Right.
She blames it on the fact that he's biracial.
I've heard this, though, before. A couple years ago, I was at a birthday party for an adult. And all adults there, we all have kids, and we're all talking. And there was these two women talking, and they'd obviously known each other very well. And she's talking about how her son is having a problem in school because he's half Arabic, and she's pretty sure the teacher is Jewish. I kid you not. And that the teacher is targeting her son because he's half Arabic, and you know how they feel about the Arabs. Was her exact
Well,
quote.
of course, it's the Jews.
And my head spun around, and I know I only get 3 minutes left. But my head
Jews.
spun around, and I said, "You have my full attention." And she wanted this whole diatribe. This woman's walking around free without any sort of prescription medication. A whole diatribe about how the teacher obviously knows that her son's half Arabic, and because she's probably Jewish, at least I think by her name, that she's been targeting my kids since the beginning of school, and I've had numerous teachers with the meeting with the principal, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I looked at her, and I just wanted to say, well, do you ever think that maybe your kid's a little bastard? Because based on what you're saying right now, the assumption of victimization,
Right.
you've probably raised your child to be a little bastard.
Right.
I didn't say that because it was a friend of the host, and I didn't want. And then we got into this whole conversation about child discipline. And I quote, she said, "There is never a reason in the world to strike your child." And I looked at her, and I said, "Ever?" I said, "No reason, ever, to strike a child." "No." I said, "Okay. How old are you? How old's your kid?" 9 or 10. Let's flash forward 7 years. He's 17 years old. And for whatever reason, he comes home drunk, maybe flies off the handle, who knows? And he has you pinned in the corner, and he's getting ready to beat you. Even then, it's never okay to strike your child. And I literally started laughing and walked away. And that's the problem.
But that is the rampant insanity
Yes.
of leftists.
Yes.
Let me tell you a story.
It's insane.
Yes.
You've heard this story.
For the record, I don't condone beating your children, but
Sometimes a whack on the ass is what they need to gain their
Yes.
attention, right?
yes.
So you've heard this story. I know a parent who was in Target years ago.
I don't know if I have time, but we
whose
get a minute
child-
left. This is going to take me 5 minutes of laughter.
Whose
Go ahead.
child was acting like a complete a-hole.
Yes.
And said father whacked kid's ass. Not beat to a pulp, not whacked multiple times, but a nice little whack on the ass
Hey, how are you?
to gain the kid's attention.
Hey, how are
to
ya?
gain compliance. Hey, how are you?
Yeah.
And it worked.
Weird.
This lady says to this father, "I can't believe you did that. You should never strike your child. You should never spank your child." And I looked at her. I mean, this father looked at her, was so pissed off, gave her knife hand with the bladed hand point.
Straight. And that's how
Yeah.
you know it just got real.
Oh, absolutely. That's how it got real. And said, "You're next."
I like that,
Oh,
quite
that's
frankly.
She either got
Awesome.
really turned on and had to leave,
Awesome.
or was horrified and had to leave.
Oh,
Either way,
man.
she freaking left.
Love that story.
Yeah, that's a good one.
If I ever meet that guy, I'm going to high-five him.
Yeah, no, I'd buy him a bourbon in
Right.
Vegas. Or a couple whiskeys or something in Vegas.
Right.
Wait a minute. That just reminded me of something.
Well, hey, we're up against a break. When we come back,
You're actually right, though.
we're getting right into the Hill Dog emails. Oh, Lord.
We're getting into them? A lot of people have gotten into
Yeah,
them. so why not
apparently
us?
everyone else
Right.
has. We might as well, too. Right here on the Sackheads Radio Show. Live on the SHR Media Network, if I can ever find the commercial. There it is.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Kath was stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense Show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplansdailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show.
Conservative media done right.
I'm just going to give you a whole list of things to voice over as the night goes on. Like, randomly. Like, we'll just come up with a whole list of, like, just different random quotes and number them or letter them. And we'll have little cards here. And just at random as we're talking, be like, X.
7.
And then we'll have BZ just chime in with it.
He'll just voice over something completely random.
Yeah. Just like
nothing like flak bait and hubcaps.
Yeah, exactly. Did you know that penguins have a little thing on their nose that converts salt water to fresh water? Thank you,
Did
BZ.
you know that penguins love bondage?
They do, actually. I've seen that. They are weird little animals. Anyhow.
I need to hang out with penguins more.
Frank Zappa did a song called Penguins in Bondage. All right, I see the look on your faces. Who the hell is Frank Zappa?
I know who Frank Zappa is. Very popular musician, yes.
Right. Did you say Zapper?
One of the few people not to be allowed back to Saturday Night Live, actually.
How come?
For some of his backstage antics. Apparently he was a real jerk backstage.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, so you have to be an a-hole if the Saturday Night Live count.
Yeah, there's only a few people who've been not allowed back. He gets on the list with Chevy Chase was actually on that list for a short while.
Really?
He's been allowed back since, but he was.
He was on that show.
Yeah, he was a cast member. And then
because he's an a-hole or because
Steven Seagal was on that list.
Really?
Yeah. If you Google a list of people who are not allowed on SNL, it's a very eclectic list of folks. It's very strange. There's no real commonality between them all except for maybe the fact that they're a-holes.
Folks not allowed on
I love this.
Why are you on this list?
Well, what's funny is I was never even allowed to begin with, probably because it's owned by NBC. Let's move right along into...
Steven Seagal is a weird dude.
He's a cop.
You know...
He's deputized in like
he's
Phoenix
a strange
no,
unit.
Los Angeles,
Las Vegas,
Louisiana.
Yeah, he was down with the good old boys.
Yeah, he's a strange cat. You know who else was deputized too? And I just discovered this not too long ago. Yes,
there's a story behind that.
Yeah.
Shaq was deputized by the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, and also Shaq bought his own car.
Yes,
that he was allowed to drive when he was a reserve.
He was doing outreach.
That's correct.
But he was also, I think it's in West Virginia, he was fully sworn.
Now that I did not know.
Yeah, he was a fully sworn deputy sheriff, reservist, but like full on.
Pro law enforcement.
Yeah, very, very much so. Speaking of law enforcement,
Sinead O'Connor is on that
Sinbad O'Connor, which is also a Saturday Night Live reference because it's when she was Jan Hooks played Sinead O'Connor and Joe Piscopo was doing Frank Sinatra, and they were on a round table.
He does Frank Sinatra very well.
Great, but every time he called her name, he kept calling her a different name, and one of them that I'll never forget was Sinbad O'Connor. What do you want, Potato Chucka? It was great. So funny. God, where do you even start with the Hill Dog emails? Let's start with the release of the latest emails from the FBI, which occurred this past Friday, the Friday just before the 3-day holiday weekend. Very, very strange timing. Usually, if you release a story late in the afternoon on a Friday, it's because you want to get it buried, right? Well, not according to James Comey and the FBI, who released a departmental-wide email essentially saying, hey, we just released the information as we got it. This was not timing to try to protect anybody.
Of course not.
Whatsoever.
Of course not.
Because he was not trying to protect her in the first place.
Right.
He was honest, truthful.
Absolutely.
Full of integrity.
Yes.
Brave.
To the brim.
Right.
To the brim.
Lived right up to his oath of office. Absolutely.
Absolutely, 100%.
Honored it.
Why haven't we started an impeachment process there yet?
Because we don't have the power to do that.
Not you and I.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
Why hasn't Congress?
Because they're freaking weak, Sean.
Anyhow, I digress. Because we could do an hour on that too. But, and of course, in those emails was a just litany of horrendous things as far as violations. And I don't even know where to begin. I had all my notes in order, and then BZ told me about the blackberries, and I'm all screwed up. But let's talk about the timing of the release and then the follow-up email, because that's magical. Clint, late midnight. It's like a midnight vote, right? I mean, when you release news articles at 5 p.m. on a Friday.
No, that's just when they had them, Sean.
Why not hold them till Tuesday?
Because you got to get it out there to the public.
I see.
Yeah. I mean, why are you going to hold it?
Right,
and
exactly.
because it looks like you're hiding something.
That's right, because
it's a
you
government
have
operation.
Integrity. You want to get it out as soon
I'm
as
guessing
possible.
the people probably procrastinated, had an extra took an extra coffee break. Went to lunch, maybe went shopping at Macy's or something. Typical government employee, federal government employee. Maybe had to get some makeup or something. I don't know. And then Friday rolls around, and here you go. Right? Friday rolls around, and now, well, shit, I have to get these emails together for the director because he wanted them released this week for full transparency.
Certainly.
For the holiday weekend, not
Right.
on Tuesday when everybody's hungover. And so this poor employee worked their tail off to meet the deadline and the expectations of the American public. I don't understand what you guys are all up in arms about.
First and foremost, I want to address something.
Yes.
That I just, in order to maintain integrity, I think we as a show kind of have to address. When all this first started, before the release of the information originally by the FBI, we had pretty good confidence in the FBI. And I honestly felt that Comey, who I believed up until that point was pretty middle of the road, and would do the right thing over the popular and or political thing, was going to do just that. I really thought that you could have seen him jump on the sword. Not even fall on it. Full on jump on it. I thought the man had that much integrity. And we as a show agreed to that. As we were building up to that, and we talked about it several times. Yep. And we were wrong. As much as it pains me to say, we were very, very wrong about that. And it really bothers me. Especially after Holder, not Holder, I'm sorry. What's his name left, the last director. And not the last director. I was talking about after Holder. I was right the first time. After Holder left, I thought that he would be much more able to be himself. Because I didn't...
Oh, under Lynch?
I just didn't think that she would have the same thumbprint on him that Holder had. I don't know why. I just thought maybe he would, maybe because she's new, he might be able to get out, whatever. And it didn't happen. And it's very, very disgusting. And it upsets me. It really does upset me.
Well, the other thing that people forget is that there was a gag order in place that the FBI confirmed when there were special secrecy agreements for agents in the Clinton email probe.
Yep.
They confirmed that to a senior Republican senator that the agents were sworn to secrecy.
Yes.
After doing that.
Yes. And then, amazingly, though, the FBI...
Why would you do that?
Well, I
know why.
Right. And if it was on the full up and up, I would argue that it was to protect any classified information that they may have seen to never be questioned about outside in a public setting and be able to accidentally divulge. You could have that argument if there was some sort of realistic expectation, right? You could see that being a concern.
Yes, but you would only put the proper agents on that particular case who were particularly trustworthy and carried certain clearances.
But it's no different. It's no different than what Chris Paranto and the rest of the guys in Benghazi signed, the non-disclosure. There's just some things you have. I understand to a point. This, though, as we've seen with the emails, the fix is in. And we see it more and more, and it's no shock. I'm not telling anyone a surprise. What I found interesting on this release of emails was we go back to the whole classified designation. And the fact that in her testimony to the FBI on that Saturday morning at 8 a.m. when nobody knew it was coming, and all of a sudden she's at the FBI headquarters giving her statement for 2 hours on something that they took months to investigate, and they only had 2 hours worth of questions for her, which I thought was funny. But she stated in her interrogation by the FBI that she thought the C, with parens on each side, was actually a paragraph marker versus standing for classified. Now, in the federal government, if you receive email, if you're of certain stature, you receive email, and there are portions of that email that are classified, they denote that prior in the left-hand margin, there's a C with 2 parentheses around it. It is very, very well known in the federal government. It is well known for anybody that's dealt with classified information. I knew of this prior to all of this email stuff, and I'm a nobody. And Hillary Clinton...
It is common in all government forms, city, county,
Yes.
etc. At the bottom of each email, there's generally a
disclaimer.
disclaimer
Yep.
as to whether or not, who can see this, what classification, what level. You are not to reproduce. You are not to forward.
Yeah, but she thought that was just like on all
Almost
government documents.
every agency has that.
What? She thought that was just on all government documents.
But this is even
I
more...
don't even understand why this is even news.
This is even more specific.
Oh.
Because that C with the parens is very distinct. And just about everybody on the upper echelon that will come across classified information knows what that means. Now, Hillary Clinton claims that she thought it was to mark the paragraphs in a sequential order.
Right.
Even though none of those emails, and by sequential order I mean paragraph A, paragraph B, paragraph C, D, E, even though in none of those...
Paragraph what? C.
Right.
Exactly.
Every paragraph was paragraph C. That's the amazing part. Julian Assange says on Hannity last night, Fox News, hey, we have a whole dump load of emails from her sending the emails that have the markings that she put on it with the C in parens.
No. What she was doing is labeling that paragraph. Look, Sean, paragraph C is always the most important.
It is, because you make paragraph C the most important.
Absolutely. So if you're doing an essay, for example, you have your opening paragraph, then you have the supporting paragraph where you're kind of getting to the point, and then you have paragraph C,
which is the body.
The third paragraph, which is where all of your main points, all of the highlights are. And then you have your soft close and your close. So clearly you should always mark paragraph C so that anybody not having the time to read and understand your particular paper can go straight to that section.
Well, Dr. Jones in chat makes an excellent point here. He says the C stands for copyright. Whatever it is that's in there, it's copyrighted. That makes perfect sense.
Well, right. and actually, I'm going to...
Or Clinton.
Or Clinton, right. She just thought it was...
I thought this
That's it. We have solved it right there. Thank you, Clint.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And actually, the C was for Clinton, the 2 parens were for interns. Now...
Right.
Mary made a great point in the chat room. What she was doing in that testimony was lying. And this brings me to my next statement.
And forgetting.
So she says... which, if she is forgetting such an important detail, maybe she's not qualified.
39 times.
Yes. Perhaps she is not qualified to be the commander-in-chief.
I cannot recall.
But let's go a different route versus, I can't speak of the medical aspect of it. I am not qualified. The lying portion. I don't need to be qualified to discuss this. She is under oath for this testimony, is she not?
Yes.
To lie in a federal investigation is a crime, is it not?
Not if she didn't lie to the FBI.
She was being interrogated by the FBI about the emails. And she said she thought. Now, we can prove...
How do you prove that she didn't think
through the
that?
emails that Assange is releasing. Where
Then they're
she
going to have
has
to
marked...
reopen that investigation.
Well, a separate investigation.
Right.
Do you remember one of the problems initially from that interview?
Let's see. It was 8 a.m. Quantico, 2 hours.
She was not placed under oath.
That's a very good point.
Do you remember that? She was not placed under oath.
Not Mirandized.
And it was not recorded.
So that does actually give her the out.
Yep.
That does actually give her the out. I forgot about that, BZ, and I appreciate that, actually. I'm glad.
That was one of the first objections, at least that I
You're
had,
right.
to the rest of that. I'm thinking to myself, what blithering moron, when you get to something this highly critical and important, do you not swear somebody in unless you just don't want it known?
Well, but now do we... at some point, You have to get Comey under oath again and start asking him specific questions about that yet again. Because if the general protocol for them not to indict on her, quote-unquote, mishandling of information because of the prosecution, is it also not protocol to put somebody under oath when you're asking them a question on a federal investigation into the mishandling of classified documents?
Isn't it illegal anyways to lie or provide false information to the FBI during an investigation?
Yes.
Whether you're under oath or not.
Right.
It's just not perjury.
Right. It's not perjurous, but it's still an investigation. So, like I said, I have two questions. Why is there not an open investigation on the lying during the investigation? And B, why is Comey not being brought back up, put under oath, and made to answer questions on the FBI procedure when handling a high-value interrogation? Do you normally put people under oath? Yes. Was the former secretary put under oath? No. Why? We didn't feel it was necessary. So you broke your own protocol. So this falls onto you. Or were you told not to do it? Or did you feel political pressure not to do it? Because if it's regular protocol and you had your best people in the FBI on this investigation and you oversaw it, or you said one of your deputies did, but you oversaw it, then why was a very specific protocol not handled? It doesn't matter if she's running to be president. Does that mean that if the federal government comes and questions me about taxes someday, I could turn around and say, hey, I'm filing paperwork to run for president. You can't put me under oath. It should not be an out.
I have a list that I keep right here on my laptop on a little sticky note.
I think it's great, and you're very much like Clinton. You have the world of technologies at your hand, and you write your notes on a sticky note.
I write my notes on a sticky note.
And then you put it on the computer.
And so, do you remember when Comey said the bottom line for Comey was that she did not have the specific intent to do these things?
Yes.
So I've looked up long time ago, before Comey, 18 U.S.C. 793, 18 U.S.C. 1924, and 18 U.S.C. 1001. 1001 deals with false statements. He said she did not have the specific intent. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, these crimes in the U.S. Code, these are not crimes of specific intent.
They're not specific intent crimes. No. And we've talked about that before. We talked about the fact that it does not need to be specific intent.
No, it does not. So, Comey, arsehole, you just lied to me because I, you, and Clint, we all know a little bit about the law.
Yeah, because we keep covering it over and over and over again. When this
you
all
have
came
to
out,
know
we
these
read it.
things.
Yes.
So we all know you sat before the general public in front of people that actually know what you're saying, and you lied to my face.
But this goes to the administration yet again. Did the administration pull strings? And I think when Assange releases his next group of emails, I think you're going to start seeing evidence roll back that way, that there was political pressure in certain situations. Listen, if he's coming out saying, I may have to move up the email release because of everything that's going on, if he goes on Hannity and says we have stacks of emails where she personally designated things classified using the C parens format, I think we're going to get into Benghazi, and I think you're going to see either distasteful things said about the president or things directly to the president.
So my question for Julian Assange would be this. If he has emails that are marked whatever that completely disprove either what she's told the FBI already or what she's told the American public or are criminal in nature, why is he waiting to release those? If he really doesn't want her to get elected, why not release them now to give the time for the investigation to happen and for her to be arrested?
I don't think he's worried about the timing for an investigation.
I agree.
I think
he wants it for an election.
Yes.
But if he were to release it sooner, then she would be in custody and she can't win an election.
And the American memory is about that long.
Exactly.
2 inches, about as long as my you-know-what.
But more importantly, think of it this way, Clint. If he releases it now, Comey's FBI picks up the investigation, right? Or if he released it a couple months ago, it would be Comey's investigation. We would be exactly where we are right now. It could be spun. You release it, say, I don't know, beginning of October, and should Hillary not win the election, you now have a Trump administration.
Or should Hillary win the election?
Yeah.
I think this administration and James Comey is feeling so much heat right now.
As well it should.
As well it should.
It
But
should.
here's my point.
I
Why
don't think
not
they
release certain emails enough to start a criminal complaint now?
Right.
And maybe that's what he's going to do next week, and then release the rest when it's election time.
I don't think he gives a rat's ass. Or I don't think Comey or the administration gives a rat's ass right now.
Yeah, they don't.
I really don't think they do.
What happened to James Comey?
Political bug. You got bit by the political bug. And hey, listen, I see all the jokes out there, and part of me has to agree with it. You never know. You don't want to cross the hill dog. You get the Arkansas flu, right? Strange accidents have happened. But more importantly, this president and the administration are going to waltz out the door.
They might foxtrot.
They might. You're right. They might.
Jitterbug.
Ooh, that would be even better.
Mashed potato.
Oh,
The Monster Mash. It was a graveyard smash.
hustle.
They could do the hustle.
They could hustle out
You know
the
what?
door. I wish they would hustle out the door.
I would forgive a lot of little things if they hustled out the door. If literally on his last day,
literally
walking a Marine One
hustling.
across the grass,
Yeah.
they actually had the music playing, and they all came out doing the hustle. Joe, him, everybody getting on together. I think that would be amazing.
Here's the problem. Joe would do the electric slide.
No, he'd go full Macarena. Joe would go full Macarena because he thinks he's hip. Right?
Right.
So the 70s think, no, that's old school. I'm going to go with the Macarena. All the kids are doing it.
Right.
What's your name, babe? You want to do the Macarena? I'm Michelle. Whatever.
What's your name?
You just shared a house with me for 8 years, essentially. Yeah, I don't. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, whatever, toots.
Whatever, sweetheart. Let's hustle. I don't think they care. And as we know, you just brought up, Americans are very short-minded when it comes to
The closer
stuff
he
like
brings this to the election time, people will continue to remember.
I think October is close enough.
I think that's why he's been delaying. I mean, how long has he had this stuff? Well, ever since that crap got hacked.
Yeah. Oh, he's had it for a long time.
And so who did the hacking?
Gossiper?
That's right. And then it went where? It went where?
Not Gossamer. Gossiper.
It went to the Russians, and it probably went to the Chinese.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
And probably North Korea.
All right, so somebody printed it and mailed it to him.
Yes.
So I can see Putin. And do me a favor, print all these out to put them in box. Why do we need to print them? We have them all digit. I owe King Jong-un a few things. So,
the other interesting
overnight special freight.
The other interesting thing was,
U.S. mail. Let's get there in 3 weeks. Did I say weeks? I meant months.
I meant months.
Months.
Who paid for Hillary's server?
Oh,
for Hillary's servant?
Server.
Uma? I think it was all Hillary.
You did.
Oh, it was installed with taxpayer dollars.
Yes.
Well, it was installed by a State Department individual.
Yes.
But I believe the hardware was private.
It was installed, created, and upkeeped, maintained by an individual who had no security clearance, did not work for the government. You realize that presidents receive a stipend upon leaving office because of Truman of $400,000 per year. Just before they left the White House, they said they were dead broke.
Oh, I love that one. Yeah, I do.
They were dead broke.
We're dead broke.
But the funny thing was, oddly enough, about 5 miles away from where they were living at the time, they put money down for a $2.35 million house, being dead broke. Well, with that money, $400,000, and Bill started making speeches, if you recall.
For $1 million a pop.
He would make speeches of $100,000 to $150,000 to $350,000.
And she was running for Senate and doing speeches as well.
Yes, so that accumulated greatly. Clinton was the only president who took all of the seed money from the Presidential Retirement Act. He took $16 million worth of money from you, me, the American taxpayers.
Totally worth it.
And that was seed money, ladies and gentlemen, that went to create the Clinton Foundation.
Yes.
So
we've
put
paid
it
for
all
the Clinton
together.
Foundation.
You paid for the Clinton Foundation. That was seed money for the Clinton Foundation. You also paid for Hillary's server. You paid for the maintenance of the server. You paid for the bleach bit to wipe the server. And on top of that, there's a particular individual, Schemmel, I think her name was. She wrote an article in the Wall Street Journal. Why did Hillary Clinton have a server? The emails are just ancillary. They are an adjunct to that. The reason she had a private server was so that she could conduct information and conduct transfer of information between herself and the people that she was putting together for the Clinton Foundation.
Can I get a freaking refund?
That's what everyone's saying in the chat room. Do we have the receipts?
Do we have the
So,
receipts?
Do we keep receipts?
If we bought all of this stuff, those emails aren't hers.
Or tax bills.
They belong to us.
Yeah.
The American taxpayer. So don't you feel better now that you funded her server and you started the Clinton Foundation? It doesn't get any better than that.
Pay no attention to me tying my shoelaces together. This is totally normal. Hey, we're up against a break. Where can I hang these?
Holy crap.
Will that hold weight? When we come back...
That'll hold weight.
That'll hold weight, I think. When we come back, I'm just depressed.
But wait, there's more.
Right after the break here on the Sackheads Radio Show, we will further discuss the Hillary Clinton things, because I do want to talk about...
I think I finally got it. That was the shut the hell up thing, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes, it was. Further discuss Bleach Bit and a couple other things here on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network.
I've seen pictures of bleached bits.
Yeah,
They're
it's not what I
amazing.
thought either.
No, it's... Oh, really? I had my tapes
Media
for Jaws.
done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
The first thing I thought of when I saw Bleach Bit, I was like, hey, isn't that the stuff you use?
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Catholic, stupid bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reverb Common Sense Show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplains.dailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the
Conservative media done medium rare.
Would help if I fixed it. There we go. Sorry about that. Where's the echo? That was bizarre.
Yes, it was.
That's never happened to me before.
I didn't hear anything.
What I love about this is, as I get further and further into being the engineer on this show, because of Sacco, damn it, is the fact that every once in a while I discover new and exciting things. Like many may notice that the dramatic hiss that we've had for the last few weeks is gone. BZ and I spent a few hours last week after the show actually recalibrating the entire board. And I appreciated his help very, very much so, to try to get the sound to be a lot better, because we have the technology to do it. We just didn't really have the know-how. So I appreciated that, and because we're trying to give you guys a pretty good quality product. Decent, not great, because that's just not up our alley, but mediocre at best, right? I mean,
that's right.
If
for all the thousands of dollars they pay.
Right. If you're going to shoot for the moon, great, you fail. We don't shoot for the moon, right? We shoot for just under the horizon. And then if we nail something, everyone's impressed. So, that's just how we go about things.
That's right. We're Scotty.
Yeah.
you under-promise and then over-deliver.
Absolutely.
I cannot do it with the engines, Captain.
50% power. So let's get into furthermore on Bleach Bit. Now, remember when somebody asked her if she wiped her server last year sometime, and she was like, "Oh, what, with the cloth?" Yeah. Knowing damn well
this
what people
segment
meant.
is just getting dirty. Talking about her bleached bit, then she wipes her server. I can't have these thoughts.
That's right, rummaging through your head. You have children, by God! It's for the children!
It's not about Cankles. Cankles Clinton.
How can it not be?
Right. We need to do a cartoon.
Me. Anyhow,
Hillary Clinton,
Professor Beaker,
a.k.a. Bleached Bit.
Well, I'll explain to you the memes later, because
Bleached
it's
bitch.
Not Beaker. It's actually way funnier than that.
Oh.
It is a lot funnier than that.
So then it comes out that Hillary did, in fact, or somebody that she instructed to,
Bleached
did,
her
in
bit,
fact,
which is amazing.
bleach her bit.
Right.
And by bit, we mean server, with a
Yes.
program called Bleach Bit, which essentially wipes your server clean. The other thing that they did that we know now is on her Blackberries as they were cycling them out. Not purchasing. We'll talk about purchasing because that's still funny. They were using hammers to destroy them. Have you ever seen the movie with the
Office Space?
IRS is no, where the IRS is coming and everybody's throwing the files of the corrupt company into the shredder and into the fireplace, trying to get rid of all the evidence, right? When you think of the Secretary of State, you would figure old equipment goes out, it probably goes to a federal government agency where they professionally wipe it, and then probably professionally destroy it in an effort to make sure that the information on there is never recovered. Well, as we've learned today through a couple people, and it's on the Daily Caller, and I think you had it on the Post.
Yes, I did. Why do that when you can do it cheaper with a ball peen hammer?
Well, if you're going to purchase it on eBay, which it looks like she was doing now,
that's
the ultimate
glorious.
secured. You're getting a secured product. So the report is that Hillary purchased her BlackBerries on eBay, and those are the ones that she was using that were connected to her server that was carrying classified information.
No, it wasn't. It was just had paragraphs that were
paragraph C,
right,
over and over and over again,
right.
Because, that phone probably didn't come from China or remanufactured, or it's probably not easily hackable because it's not a government phone. It's her own. And then when you're done transferring government information on this eBay phone, what better way than to protect the national security interest of America than with the ball peen freaking hammer?
Yeah, no, this makes total sense to me. I don't understand what the problem is yet.
No, actually, there is no problem. New York Post today, it just came out today. Hillary Clinton reportedly used old BlackBerries bought on eBay. She used BlackBerries bought on eBay. Like we talked about before the show started, you can't write this. You can't even think of this. How does this happen in the real world?
But here's why. They were having money trouble, right? And on eBay, you buy refurbished things.
They were flat broke.
Right, at a lesser price.
Still, yeah.
So what she was doing was she was probably going in and bidding on the lowest price that she possibly could to obtain the phones because they were broke, BZ. I don't know why that's hard for you to believe.
Yeah, besides, the person she bought it from, or whatever the name is, had a great seller rating.
While serving as Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton bought her BlackBerries on eBay because she liked older models that the smartphone company had long retired.
Which makes sense because she's an older model.
But wait, let's think about security just for a second, because when you buy a BlackBerry, it has very good security anyway, but the people that do that also go into the phones themselves using software. Now, how could you take an older BlackBerry and update it appropriately with the appropriate confidential software?
You can just fine. No, because when I go to Sprint with my old phones,
not brought up into this article or anywhere else.
When I go to Sprint with my old phones, right, they plug it in, they transfer the information, then I have to put my code in and do a factory reset. Boom, it's gone. It's gone. That's how it works. I know my information's safe once it leaves there. There's no way that could ever be recovered.
Of course not.
Again, it's all about convenience. It's all about convenience for her. Rules, regulations, security, that's just for the little people.
Did you guys see the Commander-in-Chief forum tonight?
No, and I wish you'd tell us about it.
Now you're just bragging.
I didn't remember.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was hoping you guys could fill me in.
I was sitting here. I was sitting here working.
Like you didn't.
Yeah, no, look, guys, that's fine. Sorry I brought it up. No, go ahead. What were we talking about?
Commander-in-Chief, hosted by Matt Lauer.
So Matt Lauer actually hit Clinton on the whole email thing.
Like physically?
Well, I wish, but no. Does Matt Lauer, is he even capable of violence?
Yeah,
he'd get into like a slap fight and lose.
Hey, I remember when Matt Lauer was actually like a journalist way back in the day. When he first started, he was actually pretty good at it, and then all of a sudden he
turned into an MSNBC hack.
NBC hack, yeah. Put on the T.
MSNBC.
Huh?
I thought he was on MSNBC.
No, he hosts the Today Show on NBC, but tonight it's the sister network. He hosted that.
Okay. So this was a forum. It wasn't a debate.
He's still a hack.
Clinton and Trump came on stage separately to face questions from Matt. And Clinton came on stage first. And right out of the gate, he hits her on the email thing. And she doubles down again. She says, the FBI did their investigation. The records are there. I never sent or received anything that was marked top secret, classified, or anything like that. When this information gets labeled, it's labeled as such, and that's not anything I ever sent or received. She actually became
belligerent.
No, she actually became like a little perturbed, at the fact that she was getting hit with this.
Oh.
Well, how dare he?
Oh,
Right.
that's so wrong.
Right.
Hey, the fix was in. Look at what happened at the senatorial. I digress. Go on.
So her response was still weak about it. She ends up making the statement of, I need voters to look at me for the totality of my judgment.
Of my lying.
She admitted that it was a mistake that she had a private email account set up or whatever. It was just, I thought it was pretty good. Pretty good that he actually hit her on that. And she ended up getting kind of long-winded or whatever on kind of how the whole classification system works or whatever. Whatever. But here's what she said. Here's a quote I was able to find. It says, you know, and I know classified material is designated. It's marked. There's a header, so there's no dispute at all about what's being communicated to or from someone who has that access is marked classified. And what we have here is the use of an unclassified system by hundreds of people in our government to send information that was not marked. There was no header. There was no statement, top secret, secret, or confidential. I communicated about classified material on a wholly separate system. I took it very seriously. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was there not an email from her or from an aide directing somebody to strip the header before they sent it?
Yes, there was. Yes, completely.
That's how serious she took it.
Right, strip the header so it's not classified anymore.
Get rid of that header, and then it's not
it's
classified.
an inconvenience.
Well, no, because then it's no longer classified, and then she wouldn't be disseminating classified information over an unsecured server.
She's Hillary Clinton. It needs to be streamlined for her convenience.
Right, just like if you take the speed limit signs down, you're not speeding, or a parking sign, it's no longer applicable. Same thing. Take off the top secret thing, boom, good to go.
That's right.
Hillary kind of gave a speech at the end. She kind of stood up and addressed the veterans and so forth, where she talked about how she voted for the Iraq War under President Bush, that it was a mistake that she gave him her vote, that she regretted that decision, and then she voted to pull out early. Here's why that's important.
Because that kept Bill from having a whole bunch of other babies.
Right.
And?
No, different type of pull
gotcha.
out. Yeah, military pull out.
Gotcha.
She was on a train, or she was pulling a train.
I
don't remember.
Strongman competition.
Strongman
competition.
That. Yeah. No, but that's important because that pull out is what created a vacuum.
Right.
For ISIS to thrive.
Right. And it's so funny how another president was, or presidential candidate was for the war, and then after when he was trying to run and rally his base, he wasn't
against it.
Right. It's just very bizarre.
I thought that was important. I thought that was an important speech she gave, an important admission about her voting record that helped create this. And also same with her support for Gaddafi, right? Or the overthrow of Gaddafi and the whole Arab Spring, because that's worked out so well.
Oh, perfect.
There, right?
Well, how... wait, when you say worked out well, you mean total destruction and utter disarray and chaos, and people are dying left and right. Well,
right.
Then yeah, nailed it.
So quote of the night from Clinton, where she says, "quote It was a mistake to have a personal account. Wait for it, wait for it. Quote of the night. Wait for it. I make no excuses."
All you do is make excuses.
No, she doesn't, because she said to Matt Lauer, "I make no excuses."
I have a full head of hair. I am slim. I tan well.
That's lying. She makes no excuses.
No. She does make excuses.
No, she doesn't, because she said.
No. All right, let's take her for a word. When has that ever been wrong or lying?
Good point. So she says,
"Oh,
quote,
my God.
I'm asking to be judged on the totality of my record."
This woman's running for the highest office in the land.
Yes.
The highest?
Yes.
Judge me on my record. Okay, you're not helping us.
Yeah, what record?
You'd be better off coming out and saying, "Don't judge me on my record. Start over."
Yeah, what accomplishments.
Right. She defended her support for military intervention in Libya.
Don't take me on my record. Really, seriously, let's not even look at my record. Let's say in this hand I have a pocket
because
ticket.
I want it.
And in this hand I have $300.
For example, if I had, say, $200 in this hand, ouch! Ouch, I'm robbing you. Here you go. 1, 2. They're nice and crisp.
Oh, my God. How could she... Here's the best part, and I talk about this all the time. There is still people who will vote for her.
Yes.
Oh, hell yes.
Although Trump did pull ahead in the polls this week.
Right, but there's still people not even voting for her just because it's the D and they just feel obligated.
Right.
There are people voting for her because they still believe in her.
Yes.
And they're walking around free.
Yes.
Right?
It's not criminal to be a freaking idiot in this country.
I've decided that I am going to get into aquatic span crossings and start selling and get a list of Democratic voters and start selling them these bridges and all over the country. And I should be able to make millions easily selling these bridges. I have the Golden Gate listed on Craigslist right now.
What are you asking, by the way?
You should sell an
10-5.
interest. You should sell an interest in the Golden Gate Bridge that allows them to visit it anytime they want.
Actually,
For
I like
free.
that. I like that. I like it.
Yeah. Listen, you pay me $100,000,
And you can go whenever you want.
You can find somewhere to look at the Golden Gate Bridge.
Everywhere. Anywhere you want.
Anywhere you want. Anytime
It doesn't
you want.
cover tolls because that's the highway department and I can't work into that.
Right.
But the bridge itself to walk across however much you want.
Well, see, that's the beauty of it. Clint is going to offer 3 ways to transit the bridge. He's going to allow you to drive, right? You're going to be able to drive on it.
Yep, you're going to have to pay the toll yourself.
Right.
You can either use a velocipede.
Right. You can walk. You can walk across it.
Yeah, no, velocipede was number 2.
Oh, velocipede. Okay.
Velocipede.
And then
and walking would be number 3.
Okay. And Clint is going to go so far as to let people go across it on bicycles.
That's a velocipede. Stick with me, BZ.
Oh, damn.
Stick with me. Velocipede.
It's
a wheeled conveyance propelled by human power.
I was waiting for it to come out.
That would be a bicycle.
And then the third, digitally. You can go on the internet and Google Golden Gate Bridge and look at as many pictures as you wish.
Right, absolutely.
That's a wonderful thing.
You know, we should put it on eBay and see if Hillary will buy it.
No, but her voters would.
She might too at this point, trying to get any love that she can. Maybe if I spend $100,000 on this, we have it in the Clinton Foundation, right? I'll buy this one guy's vote.
Right. Hillary Clinton.
Hillary herself. The Hill Dog.
Trump. So for Trump's portion of it, he actually said that he does have a plan to defeat ISIS. He failed to or refused to elaborate on what that is. He did say basically that the generals have been reduced to a pile of rubble, essentially.
Which I agree with.
That is completely true.
Yeah, I don't think he was saying that as a slam on the General Officer Corps, although some of them are need to be slammed. But I think he said that in terms of this administration doesn't listen to his generals.
Right.
They're going to do whatever the hell they want.
And
so
they've promoted
rubble.
generals who have been more politically expedient than militarily proper.
Absolutely. And so, but he didn't elaborate on how he was going to deal with ISIS. And when he was pressed about why that is, he said, "Look, I have a good chance of being elected president, and I don't want ISIS to know what my plan's going to be. This administration says, we're going to put troops in a month, or we're going to pull people out in 3 months, and telegraphs their move to the enemy." And he says, "I don't want to do that."
Why?
Could it be bullshit?
It could.
It could be bullshit.
On the other hand,
it could be a very smart move.
That's
And
very
after
logical.
seeing what he did in Mexico, I would probably tend to believe the latter. But even if the former is true, even if he has no plan to deal with ISIS, knowing that this guy has successfully run a multi-billion-dollar organization and several companies, this is a man that knows how to listen to input.
Yep.
So if he gets generals in there,
yep,
I believe he's going to listen to his general staff and then plan accordingly or make his strategy accordingly. So Is it a big deal for me personally that this guy's not saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and this is my timeline to do it, and this is what's going to happen? No, because I see the logic in not wanting to expose a plan, and I can see the wisdom in wanting to hold off until you're fully briefed in, until you get a chance to talk to your general staff before you come up with something like that.
Right.
So I was not upset by his lack of clarity in that particular answer.
But you know how that's going to be portrayed.
Of course I do. Of course I do, and even among some on the right. But I can understand it. He said that he did say in a speech the other day, and Lauer actually hit him on this, where Trump said that he's going to convene his top generals and have 30 days to submit a plan for soundly and quickly defeating ISIS. So Lauer said, so was your plan that you've been hiding this whole time, asking someone else for their plan? And Trump said no. But when I do come up with a plan that I like and that perhaps agrees with mine or maybe doesn't, I may love what the generals come back with. Look, Matt, douchebag, I mean, Lauer, if Trump's plan is to convene his generals and give them 30 days to come up with a military plan of sound doctrine of their recommendation to smash the living shit out of ISIS.
I'm okay with that.
He has the wisdom and forethought to actually listen to the men and women in uniform that know what the fuck they're doing. Then guess what, you little prick? That's exactly what he should fucking do. Why is this businessman going to have a plan right now out of the gate, not being fully briefed in and with no military or tactical background to deal with a global threat, a group that is committing genocide?
Right.
Why would he do that? That would be more dangerous, in my opinion, than a man who is rational and says, I'm going to get my top generals together and see what the hell they have to say and go from there.
I agree.
Why is he trying to spin that into a negative? That kind of pissed me off a little bit. In case you
and
can't
rightfully
tell.
No, that's a positive.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's a positive. But it's being spun as a negative. And this little weasel douchebag, little prick,
Lauer,
little weasel. What a coward! I just want to pop his freaking head.
Well,
not literally. I don't condone violence. So
at least
somebody
if he,
on the left is going to say that I.
It's metaphor.
Wait.
It's metaphorically.
It's
You only mean it metaphorically. That's all.
But at least he hit Hillary on something. It wasn't just a total attack on Trump.
He hit her on the emails. Everybody's hitting her on
but
the
he's
emails.
no, that's the problem. Everyone's not. And he actually did a little bit.
Even a lot of people on the he did it to seem fair, and it's easy to do because she is so far out.
But Trump, I'll tell
field.
you what, Trump should have turned around and said, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask the generals and just owned it.
Yes, but he might also have an idea of what he wants to do.
Right.
And he's not going to say
But
it.
then he could have said that. Hey, I have an idea that I'll present for them, but at the end of the day, when it comes time to go military operation, I'm going to look at their plans and take the best one.
Yeah. Trump did go on and praise Putin. Again, he said, look, Putin's a strong leader. He says Putin has 80-something% approval rating in his country. Probably not going to play well to the Republican base. Where he's hang on a second, let me finish. But what he said, and I think Trump is listening to sackheads, because I can go back episodes, I don't remember, Sean, 6-8 months ago, you'd remember, where I was sitting in this chair, Sacco might have been sitting over there, and you were over where BZ is, and I made the case, and we talked about it at length, ad nauseum, is why not partner with Russia to smash the shit out of ISIS? It makes sense. Why would we not partner with them in this? And Trump said that. Russia wants ISIS defeated just as badly as we do. Why should we not partner with them? And I believe that's a smart strategy, and he should have us, obviously, as his cabinet members. But he went on to say that Putin's a good leader, good guy, strong guy, all those things, which I think, had he just left it at Russia has a vested interest to defeat ISIS soundly, we should partner with them, we would have two of the strongest countries in the world, kind of like we did in World War II. It's not like we were high-fiving each other over the lines in World War II when we were fighting with Russia as an ally, but we can still utilize Russia as an ally to defeat a common enemy. We did it with Nazi Germany. We can do it here with ISIS. They're having plenty of parallels drawn between Nazi Germany and ISIS, the genocide and so forth. And then afterwards, we can readdress, and if you want to play nice with Putin, that's a different story. But I think Trump hurt himself when he took it that extra step, and when Matt Lauer said, "Well, Putin has called you a great man and a great leader," and Trump said, "Well, yeah, if he's going to give me compliments, I'm going to give him compliments," and it's all well and good.
Well, particularly in light of the fashion, the reason that Russia and China are pushing, and in light of the thing that occurred today.
Yeah, the Russian Su-27.
Russia flew an Su-27, a Sukhoi fighter,
within
10 feet of one of our Poseidons. There was a 4-engine plane called the P-3 Orion, which is an anti-submarine killer. It drops little radar dudes into the sea, little sonar buoys, so that you can find submarines.
Dudes.
And the Poseidon is simply the updated version of that. It's completely defenseless.
Yeah, there's no offensive weapon.
It's not armed in any way whatsoever. So when you fly a Sukhoi, who knows half-assed because I haven't read the article, 10 feet from an aircraft, it's like you're attacking it. And that pilot flying that plane,
an asshole.
If he came back with clean underwear, I'd be surprised.
Oh, they're talking about the Russian pilot.
Yeah, exactly. I did too. Yeah, and you know what? Saying that a Russian leader is strong and agreeing with a Russian leader are two totally different things.
Right.
But look, I digress. All right, we're up against a break. When we come back, maybe a little hodgepodge, but I want to talk about with 9/11 coming up. There's a story out there involving a 9/11 memorial I want to discuss.
I saw that.
And I also want to discuss a little bit about 9/11 itself because we'll be off and we won't be able to do our 9/11 show like I usually like to do. So all that and more right here on the wrap-up portion of the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Kyle was stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reverb Common Sense Show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplains.dailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media
Welcome back to
Network.
the Sackheads Radio Show live from the SHR Media Network.
Really, assholes. Oh, everyone's a freaking comedian, aren't we?
What did you just plug in there?
Not your mic. No, I'm just kidding.
Not your business. All righty. Okay.
Oh, man. Good times.
What do you have? You have stories. If you don't have stories, I have stories.
I used to have leprosy, but I got better.
So
yeah, you did.
It was a great Monty Python. I want to go to Oswego, New York for a moment.
Okay, you do.
And there's a memorial. 9/11's coming up this weekend. God, it feels like yesterday still.
Is it this weekend?
Yeah. Yeah, Sunday. It still feels like it was yesterday. That's the
Yeah,
sad
it
part.
does. I have a question for you when you're done.
Yeah, so 15 years ago.
Wow.
2001. Yeah, 9/11, 2001.
Wow.
Okay. Can I interrupt? Where were you when that happened?
I was at work.
Okay.
I was sitting with actually my friend JP, and we were watching the news. Just happened to be watching it when it came on.
You're watching TV. Oh, wow. Okay. Everybody remembers where they were.
Yeah, no, I remember it like it was yesterday. I still remember actually we were watching the news of the first plane hitting, and they were watching the replay, and then they cut to the live shot that was the New York horizon. And I looked down for a second, and JP jumped out of his chair just as the second plane struck, and literally said, "We're under attack." And that was the first time that anybody had said that. I mean, we were all processing it, you know, but
because one can be a coincidence,
right? One could have been a horrible mistake.
Number two.
Yeah, I mean, look at the movie Sully, right? You had a plane that loses power that was trying to get over water, maybe the first one, and that's what we all thought happened. You know, it was just a tragic accident on the first one, and then the second one hit, and then the Pentagon, obviously. So, yeah, 15 years ago this Sunday. But there's a group of interfaith people, I don't know what that means, in Oswego, New York, who wants the words Islamic Terrorist removed from the 9/11 monument. The text on the monument reads, Town of Oswego, Owego. I pronounced it wrong. Owego. 9/11 Memorial. On September 11, 2001, 19 Islamic terrorists unsuspectedly boarded a plane and attacked the people of New York and Washington, D.C. and Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And then it goes on that this is a tribute to all the lives that were lost that day and a heroic sacrifice of all who rushed to help. As Americans, we honor their memory by living our lives in freedom we will never forget. The group is angry over the words Islamic terrorist being used.
The group is the Islamic Organization of the Southern Tier.
Do they have multiple tiers?
Apparently.
Is it like how I get charged with power? The higher up you go in tiers?
They're from the Southern Tier. So apparently the Islamic Organization of the Northern, Western, and Eastern tiers didn't have a problem with it. But the Islamic Organization of the Southern Tier is who fired off the letter, alleging that the words engraved would encourage hatred towards Muslims.
But this brings us to another example of erasing history.
They want the word changed from Islamic terrorists to either terrorists or Al Qaeda terrorists.
No.
I'm just telling you what they want.
No, I'm just saying it's ridiculous.
We're negotiating here, you and I.
But we don't. We didn't change any of the memorials at Pearl Harbor to Pacific Asian aggressors.
Pacific Rim occupants.
Right, or aggressors. We certainly don't go to Omaha Beach and change all the memorials. We can't erase history.
Right.
If you added the word Al Qaeda Islamic terrorists, I would be okay with that because they were part of Al Qaeda. But the simple fact of the matter is they were, in fact, Islamic terrorists. Does that mean that if there's a memorial at the church in South Carolina where Dylan Roof killed all those people, that you would remove the word like psychopath or something like that and just replace it with like angry individual? The simple fact of the matter is by removing our history, we forget.
That's by design, Sean.
It is by design.
And history will be allowed, I'm telling you why I disagree. And history will be allowed to, again, repeat itself as it always does. Look at the War of 1812, right? We'd already beat them once and they came back for more. World War I, the Germans were uppity. World War II, the Germans were uppity. It happens over and over again. Look at the Cold War, and a lot of people are indicating we may end up in another one here soon.
So the city manager is Donald Castellucci,
who had a great statement.
He had a great statement. He said, "Quote: I don't live in a politically correct world. I live in a historical fact world. Whether it's American, homegrown, Christianity, Islamic, you call it what it is, and we don't whitewash things, especially here. This is not about religion. It's about one event on one day that killed more than 3,000 people."
Yes.
Good for him.
Yeah,
yes.
That sums it up.
Yes.
Logically and factually.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it's scary to me that would actually be considered. But again...
But the city manager's not. He's giving him a big middle finger.
Yeah. Yes. And I appreciate that. And they'll just try again when he's gone. But it goes back... It's amazing what those in the Muslim community will do to feel victimized. Listen. Unless you're an Islamic terrorist, you shouldn't have any worries about it. I don't get offended when people talk about the Irish Republican Army, even though I am of Irish descent.
And you're a Republican.
And I am a Republican, or a conservative. But either way, I don't get angry because I didn't do anything. And it's just strange to me. That I get it. They're trying. I know why they're trying to do it before everyone in the chat room yells at me. But the point is, it's ridiculous. And I digress. Clint, you had a story.
I did have a story that I wanted to talk about, and this was the European Union is about to piss off the Swiss government.
I read this Second Amendment story.
It's not going to go so well,
sort of,
for them, I think. But look, everybody in Switzerland is required to serve in the military, right, and possess a weapon for national defense. Smart. I love this place. I need to go to Switzerland, but I don't think they like.
One of the reasons, by the way, that Switzerland was neutral.
Yes.
Because Hitler had a pretty good idea that he could not steamroller Switzerland he did in Poland in 1939.
Absolutely.
And people don't remember that.
Yep, absolutely. But the gun restrictions, the European Union is trying to tighten gun control, which could disarm thousands of law-abiding citizens, and would affect Switzerland, who is a non-EU member, but they'd be obliged to implement under cross-border agreements some of these gun control measures, which would force some of their people to give up their gun rights. Switzerland and the European Union have been at odds over immigration, and so now this is kind of coming to a head now with their potential gun restrictions being affected. I don't think Switzerland would take kindly to that.
I don't think so either.
Because what's the European Union going to do? Invade Switzerland? They're not even an EU member.
Right. How is that? How can you... But again, when we talked about Brexit...
cross-border agreements.
When we talked about Brexit, we talked about all the things with the EU. These are the types of things that the EU puts into place. And everyone feels that it's just, for financial and trade and border simplicity. No, it is control out of Brussels by politicians over sovereign countries.
Yes.
Once again.
But I should like to point out politicians, well, they're not even really politicians, they're administrators who are answerable to no one but themselves, were not elected by anyone
United
at
Nations.
any time.
It's the United Nations.
There's no election.
Right.
They're appointed.
But so,
individuals.
in effect, the UN is too, right? Because how do you get the Secretary General? It's voted on by UN members. How do you get somebody in the UN? You pay enough money and you're in the UN. It's a paid bureaucracy.
Well, the UN needs to be made into condos. It has a great view of the East River.
We've talked about this time and again.
Great condos.
The country's largest veterans center. That's what it should be turned into.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
You know what's amazing to me is Switzerland is roughly 48% of Swiss households have guns.
Yes. Yes.
Their gun violence rate
through the roof
must be astronomical.
Actually, it's minimal.
Hang on. Let me pull up the figures here. Hang on.
Your figures were flying.
Ding.
Hang on.
Ding.
Here it is.
It's the Bat computer.
Wow. Wow, it's infant. It's.
How big? You can't even say the number.
I can't even say the number.
It's so huge. You can't even look at it.
It's bigger than zero.
It's in your face and you can't even look at it.
It is bigger than zero. How does it... I'm trying to research how this is even possible right now.
Have you found it yet?
I haven't found it yet.
Keep going. How about now?
Nope, not yet.
Nope, still not. Damn.
Well, so you brought us to the EU for a great story. And Switzerland will no doubt tell them to go pound sand. I have no doubt that Switzerland will tell them to go pound sand. While we're in Switzerland, let's take a trip over to Germany. The Germans love their pools. And that's a well-known fact. There's a lot of public pools, a lot of swimming.
Pools or poles?
Pools.
Got it.
You know what else? The new refugees are in love with their pools. So much so that the German government
I know where you're going.
has had to issue signs and pamphlets and all these other things. Telling
open up pools?
No, not even that one.
Not even that one.
Reminding refugees that it's not okay to randomly grab women however you wish while you're in the pools. Let me rephrase that, or let me reiterate that. A sign and paraphernalia and pamphlets had to be sent out to the refugees telling them that it was not acceptable and okay to enter into public pools and grab women at will. You think they're rethinking the open border things?
Nah, they'll just post signs.
No, Merkel
right,
has
that should
doubled
fix
down.
it, right? Yeah,
She
Merkel
is absolutely doubled
How many
down.
times have you heard, well, we'll just post a sign. That'll keep
That'll
it.
fix
Gun-free zone.
Right.
It says it right there.
That's right.
It's a sign.
Man.
No trespassing. No hunting. No topless dancing.
Right. No open containers. No.
That's on our door, for Christ's sake.
And we don't even follow it.
Right.
It's our own rules and we break it. It's ridiculous. Oh, man. Absolutely horrible. Are they stripper poles? Asked the exceptional one. Stripper pools. No, they're not stripper
No,
pools.
they're not.
They're just regular old pools. And I think it's funny because Germany is one of those countries that prostitution is legal. And if these guys wanted to grab, they legally could go do it. Not in a pool. So that's just absolutely disgusting and infuriating, and it's only going to get worse, people. I have another story I would like your opinion on.
Yes.
I got this from PJ Media. It's a couple other places, too. Professors advise students to drop class if they question climate change.
What?
The University of Colorado at Colorado Springs is coming under fire, according to this from the Washington Times, after 3 professors warned their class that there would be no debate on human-caused climate change and that any student who disagrees should drop the course. 3
Isn't
professors.
college about open debate?
Oh, sorry.
Are we applying for credit?
We are. Only we heard that because it came off the news report. But yes, isn't that absolutely insane that if you go to this college and you take one of these classes, they're teaching an online course called Medical Humanities in the Digital Age.
That sounds so nice.
Invigorating. You cannot question climate control because apparently the science is in.
Isn't that what college is supposed to be about? Isn't it about the free expression of ideas and open debate?
Well, that's a BBC rule. The BBC says that you cannot put onto a BBC program or a spouse under BBC rules anything against climate change.
BBC, Big Black. Which BBC are we talking about? Safe Search BBC or non-safe search BBC?
Non-safe search. Safe search.
Yeah, non-safe search.
Okay.
And then I have one more story.
Do me a favor, BZ. Google BBC Safe
No,
Search
no,
off.
no. Our router will explode.
And do an image search.
I do have one more story if I can. And this was just sent to us by the second best newsman in the business, Dan Butcher, over at High Plains Pundit. One British family on holiday in Costa Brava in Spain got more than they bargained for when they went to buy a wagon wheel, which is a European dessert. Stuart Norris, 45, explained to the Mirror.uk how he stumbled on a selection of sex toys and lubricants in a vending machine while on holiday with his wife Debbie and their daughters.
That is awesome.
Filled with stock, which usually found in Ann Summers, which I guess is an adult store in Europe. The machines can be found on busy streets, and there's actually a picture of it right next to a whole bunch of other snacks when any child or anyone else, for that matter, can just walk up and partake. Oh, man. It's right on the main street, so anyone can go over. It's next to another machine selling snacks, said the builder. We'd gone over to get a wagon
What?
wheel.
It's right next to a machine selling snacks. What's the problem?
There are also 2 types of love dolls in the machine and a varieties of lube, both from Durex brand. But it isn't the only sex aids they offer. Wait, there's more. There's also the Mochero Suplete, a lighter, and I don't even know, it's some sort of pipe, smoking pipe, and other adult-themed items.
I need to go there.
People used to say that about Amsterdam.
I need to go there.
Oh, man. Oh, this is just awesome. It sums things right up. Well, now I have to transfer from that into a story. Clint, you get a story now.
No. No, not after that. Seriously, how can I follow that? You got to go to BZ.
BZ, do you have a story?
Well, I do have a question, and we kind of covered it over already. We kind of went over it a little bit, but I have a question. Do you think that there, with regard to 9/11, do you think that there are videos that someone has of the jumpers from the buildings and their impacts?
Yes.
My guess would be yes.
I
Those
believe
videos exist.
Where are you going with this?
And I think Americans need to see those videos. I think they need to see what happened and not to forget what occurred on that day.
It's hard. And you know...
Yeah, look, there are schools that don't teach 9/11 history. There are schools that they don't talk about the Islamic extremist component or even the Al-Qaeda component. They just say terrorists and just kind of leave it this general term.
Well, that's what our president does.
Right.
It is. And so I don't know. I think we have a generation coming up that's not going to remember 9/11, that's not going to know the importance or the significance of 9/11, or why we're even in this fight with Islamic terrorists right now, which is a fight we've literally been fighting since the beginning of our country with the Tripoli pirates and so forth. There were Muslim extremists. So I don't know that I think that people should see that graphic of a depiction by any means, but certainly they should see the videos of the aircraft crashing and the emergency responders running in and the towers coming down and the aftermath and President Bush's speech and all of those things and the celebrations in the Middle East and so forth.
I'm afraid we've already forgotten what 9/11 was about.
We haven't, but there are several people that have. We
Yes.
are like our generation here, because we lived through it. We were at work when this happened. We, had things that we needed to accomplish when this happened. But yeah, I think that the generation that was in the schools, if you weren't old enough to really understand it at the time of the incident, within one generation, we've forgotten.
Yes, we have.
Within one generation.
Yeah. Well, Mamba in chat says, well, we haven't even seen the photo of Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, and I can still see if that was still considered classified under a military operation, et cetera, et cetera. Okay.
A picture of a dead terrorist?
Who knows?
How's that going to...
Well, the operation itself was classified, so all the documents and fruits of it could very well be.
Yeah, the documents, but
9/11...
A picture of a dead guy when nationally the impact that this guy had on our nation...
I understand.
That's something that should be shown to the American
I understand. But when it comes to 9/11, like you pointed out, Clint, there's intentional misleadings as to the history of 9/11. A lot of it has to do with the left in this country, right? They don't want to...
They don't want to demonize anybody.
They don't want to demonize anyone. Right. Exactly. When the reality is, like I said earlier when we were talking about Owego, New York, when we forget history, it has a tendency to repeat. And the simple fact that the dead are not being honored, the Pentagon, Shanksville, Pennsylvania, the 2 planes that struck, all the lives that have been lost after the fact of soldiers, operators overseas, to try to bring these people to justice. It continues to this day. The attacks since 9/11, as a result of 9/11, ISIS is still very much a part of the 9/11 roots. The attacks in this country, Florida, Orlando, all of these are specific to what happened on 9/11, 2001. They are very much germane still to this day. Al-Qaeda still hits us to this day. The simple fact that we would turn around and ignore the reality of it and not teach our children and not even celebrate the memory of those people the same way that we did 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
The way we do now in our studio.
Yeah, we have the flag right up behind us, the flag of honor. It'll always be there as long as we have breath.
I still am of the opinion we need to see at least one video to remember. Place yourself in this position. There's burning fuel and anything combustible behind you. Somehow you have to figure out how to knock a window out. If you stay where you are, you're going to be burnt alive. So your option is being burnt alive or knock a window out and you simply jump. The World Trade Centers were 1,300 feet tall. It would take you roughly 20 seconds to impact at terminal velocity.
Yes.
They would rather have jumped out the window than have been burned alive. What the hell kind of a choice is that for an American citizen?
Right, and that was the choice put upon them, and that doesn't even include the folks who...
And then
who
when
died.
the buildings fell, the individuals that were in there were liquefied.
Well, and one of the first people to die on the ground, and it is believed that a jumper caused the illness, was Father Michael Judge, who was the FDNY chaplain.
Yes, and that was a classic photograph of the fireman carrying him in a chair.
Yep, and It is believed that he was struck either by debris or from the actual one of the other jumpers striking him and hitting his body. And it is absolutely traumatic, and it is horrific. And I mean, we got to wrap up the show, but I always ask people on 9/11, as painful as it is, take an hour and sit down and watch footage and go back through. One of the best 9/11 documentaries are the two French brothers who were doing the FDNY rookie documentaries.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I can't remember their last names. It's on Amazon. You can download it and watch it pretty easily. It's absolutely amazing because it was from the eyes of the first responders that day.
This weekend, put out your American flag.
Yep. Mine's out all the time.
Yep.
All the time except for foul weather. And it's lit up at night. And just remember what it's like to feel that we had that day. The feeling we had in the pit of our stomachs when we thought we were being attacked. And we were. And just really understand what impact that should have on our nation. And never let the memory at all of the people that perished on 9/11 and since go by the wayside for political correctness.
Completely agreed.
Clint, final thoughts?
Yeah, look, we have to remember our history, and it's not being taught in our schools. We certainly have to, as parents, in my opinion, make sure our children understand our history, understand the importance of this weekend. There are conversations you can have with your kids at all ages, and we can't forget our history. So much of it is being rewritten, and so this will be a weekend where I'm certainly gonna remember and thank God I live in the country I live in.
It's just heartbreaking.
Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, do not forget.
Folks, that's it for the Sackheads radio show.
Way to end it on an up note, guys.
Live on the SHR Media Network. We will be back next Wednesday. I know somebody will be on vacation, but
I won't be here.
Yeah. Clint won't be here, but the rest of us will be.
I might call in.
I don't want you to. I don't want you bragging.
I might call in.
I might not answer it.
That would be bragging. That would.
He does it to us all the time. Also, BZ, I'm going to throw you under the bus a little bit. You're prepping to get your show going and underway. We're working on some production details and a schedule. So,
and I've got something very exciting about that, too.
Awesome.
But I'm going to keep it under wraps for a while.
A little tease is good. So look for that.
He played just the tip with
He
us.
played just the tip, and we bought it. And we bought every second of it.
Loved every second of it.
We will see you next Wednesday here on the Sackheads Radio Show, right here from Studio 1A. Or 2A. Are we three?
This is like 4.
Oh, 5. Yeah, 4, maybe 5 now. It doesn't
remember.
matter.
Silo.
Make sure you check out all the great shows here on the SHR Media Networks. Picking it up tomorrow morning with the Reaver of Common Sense, Jersey Joe, who's back, ladies and gentlemen, after a few days off. Great show today. Check him tomorrow. All the way through the afternoon, make sure you catch out the exceptional one, Ken McClinton. Thank you so much for tolerating my sick voice. We will see you next week at some point, if I can find that. There it is.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sackheads. Sackheads.
Radio.
Sackheads. Sackheads.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.